Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to talk about Sefris of the Hidden Ways. And this is definitely of the Hidden Ways. We'll get to the good part a little later on. We'll get through the obvious stuff first. White, blue, black. And we get a 2/3 human wizard. I love this line of text. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn, so obviously we want to try to make it to where we can do it every single turn, even not our turn. So we've got to figure out a way to, dependably venture. And then, whenever you complete a dungeon, you get to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's got to be one of ours, right? Okay, so the first thing I did is in those three colors. Well, first we're going to get through our mana, Arcane Signet, the assorted signets, Azorus, Dimir, Orzhov, the Azorus Cluestone, and the Dimir Cluestone kind of smooth out our mana production. But all of those, now I am filming this before the set actually releases proper. What I have is from pre-release and stuff, so the three-color venture into the dungeon cards. Fly, Planar Ally. I really like Planar Ally. Zombie Ogre, Clattering Skeletons, Veteran Dungeoneer, Gloomstalker, Precipitous Drop, Delver's Torch, Fate Reversal. Here again, one drops with flying that used to be rare, and now they're, and then the secret door. So we want to be triggering that dungeon, and that was the first thing where my mind went. I was like, all right, so when it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, so I thought about stuff like Buried Alive to, now granted it's only going to trigger once because it can only trigger once per turn, but Buried Alive will trigger it. Then maybe like Viscera Seer to sacrifice. I could dependably sacrifice one on each player's turn, right? To kind of trigger it that way. Veil of the Nightclad. Creature leaves the battlefield. Each opponent loses a life. So, reassembling Skeleton to try to get back. Undertaker to, swap it back and forth because that triggers it, right? But then I run across something. I run across a Fluctuator. Cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 less to activate. So, if we cycle and spend our 2, even if we don't have the Fluctuator, if we cycle, and if I only had creatures with cycling, I would get to spend 2, discard the card, draw a card, and venture. Right? So, but I was like, Fluctuator really makes this thing happen. So I was like, well, we got a Diabolic Tutor, Dimir Infiltrator, because it has Transmute. And it's a creature, so it's going to go to the yard. To muddle the mixture, also transmutes. So that's, Fluctuator in 3 ways to get it. And then I was like, well, since we're cycling, we have a Drake Haven and the Herald of the Forgotten. But you'll notice these cycling creatures, there's more flyers than not. Wasteland Scorpion. Now, I'll be honest with you, a lot of them I really, if they didn't fly, I didn't really care what they were. Flourishing Fox has cycling, but it also has, cycling payoffs. Sandbar Merfolk, Eternal Dragon, plain cycling is cycling. Curator of Mysteries, you get to scry. Void Beckoner, that's a beater. Striped Riverwinder, Primok Escapee. Yeah, some of these cards I have never registered on Architect before. Winged Shepherd, Angel of the God Pharaoh, River Serpent, Sandbar Serpent. The idea is we're just churning. We're just churning these to get whatever. To venture into those dungeons, because once we cycle these away and we complete a dungeon, we get to bring one of them back into play each time. And Archfiend of Ifnir, Shimmerskill Drake, Oketra's Attendant, Pendril Drake, Keen-Eyed Aven, Nimble Obstructionist, Cloud of Fairies is just a good card anyway. Shimmering Barrier, Disciple of Law and Grace, and then the Valiant Rescuer. So that is kind of where my mind was. I was like, cycling, yeah. Got a little bit of, I mean, speaking of unrest, since we are cycling, now this says a graveyard, anybody's, but we're cycling, so we know we're putting creatures in our graveyard. The new Persist, because I was out of the other one. Exhume, there's a good chance we're going to have more creatures than anybody else, or, you know, better quality. So, Debtor's Knell, just, I mean, every upkeep. And then for the Boom Shakalaka, the Twilight's Call, just to get them all back, all right? A little bit of removal, not a lot. Dovin's Veto, Mortify. Deathbringer Regent, because why wouldn't we like Wraths, you know? Deathbringer Regent, Blood on the Snow, and even a Chroma's Vengeance, because it's got cycling, in case we don't need it. Now, this is 3 colors, so this is quite a bit of non-basic lands. We'll peel through these, and then we'll look at the dungeons later after the lands, since this is the first dungeon crawl deck we've made. The Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Orzhov Basilica, Forsaken Sanctuary, Temple of Silence, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Silverquill Campus, Ice Tunnel, Demir Aqueduct, Dismal Backwater, Arcane Sanctum, Irrigated Farmland, Tranquil Cove, Azorus Guildgate, then some cycling lands. Desert of the Glorified, of the Mindful, of the True, the Barren Moor, and the Secluded Steppe. So now let's look at these. I have all 3 of these dungeons. We have, a little air in there. So the idea with this particular deck is probably to complete as many dungeons as possible. Now, Dungeon of the Mad Mage was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. So we got to venture 7 times to get through it. The Lost Mine of Phandelver, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not bad. You know, we can venture 4 times and be done with it. If we really want to go that way, the Tomb of Annihilation, we can do in 3. That Obulette, though, in the middle, discard a card, sack an artifact, a creature, and a land. So, yeah, that's a bunch. So, we can get through it in 3, but we can also get through it in 4. So, I put in all of the dungeon crawl decks. I'm putting all 4, or all 3 dungeons in, because that's all we've got is 3 dungeons, right? And putting them in because, you know, the situation may arise. We may want to crawl them dungeons. So, that is Sefris of the Hidden Hand. I'm sorry, Hidden Ways. So let's go put 743 on the wall. And we will continue on with our Forgotten Realms Commander. So I do appreciate y'all watching. And as always, thank you so much. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. But right now, I think we're going to go ahead and shuffle and cut.